food stamps, SNAP benefits. The administration.
Well, we're going to get it done. The Democrats have caused the problem on food stamps. Of course, all they have to do is sign. And, if they sign, I'll meet with them.
If you check your EBT card on benefit day and see a zero balance while the fridge is nearly empty, that is more than anxiety. It is the very real fear of a missed payment. This November, that fear has become reality for many SNAP households as states announced pauses, partial payments, and delayed restorations of benefits in the wake of the federal government shutdown. Across letters mailed to households, state agency press releases, and local news coverage, one message has been repeated almost word for word. To avoid a missed benefit, recipients must actively keep their case alive by taking 5 concrete steps instead of waiting passively. The overall picture becomes clearer when you look at a few key dates. On October 27, 2025, the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services, DPHHS, sent a letter informing households that issuance of November SNAP benefits was suspended until the state received guidance and funding from USDA's Food and Nutrition Service. During that period, recipients were told they must continue reporting household changes, completing mid-certification or recertification paperwork, and submitting verification documents. In Mississippi, information provided by the Mississippi Department of Human Services to outlets such as the Clarion Ledger, WAPT, and the Daily Leader made clear that no new November benefits could be issued until FNS gave the green light, even though applications and recertifications would still be accepted and processed. Arkansas and Tennessee issued similar warnings about possible delays or disruptions if the shutdown continued, while stressing that SNAP customers must keep reporting changes, completing paperwork, and sending in required documents. By early and mid-November, the money began to flow again, but only in stages. On November 13, 2025, Montana DPHHS mailed a new letter announcing that FNS had directed states to issue 100% of November SNAP benefits, and that households which had only received partial assistance earlier in the month would see the remaining amount loaded onto their EBT cards. In Mississippi, a local paper reported on November 10th that FNS had approved up to 65% of November SNAP funding and that the state would issue roughly 65% of normal benefits while waiting for further federal guidance on the rest. In Louisiana, the Department of Health used state funds to provide emergency SNAP support during the first days of the month, then began issuing federally funded SNAP benefits starting November 7th at roughly half the normal amount, later moving up toward about 65% for some groups, as reported by KEDM, KATC, and WDSU. The exact percentages and dates differ from state to state, but the message to households is the same. Even when money is delayed, the obligation to keep your case updated does not pause. Those requirements are rooted in federal and state policy that has been in place for years. The SNAP eligibility page on the USDA Food and Nutrition Service website, updated September 30, 2025, states that households must apply in the state where they currently live and meet income, resource, and household size limits. FNS emphasizes that a SNAP household includes everyone who lives together and buys and prepares food together. A SNAP fact sheet issued by the Social Security Administration in 2025 repeats that definition and notes that people experiencing homelessness can still qualify even without a fixed address if they meet other criteria. At a more detailed level, the SNAP Policy Manual issued by Georgia's Department of Human Services on September 16, 2025, instructs workers to verify household information through third-party sources such as pay stubs and bank statements, or in some cases through the household statement. FNS Handbook 310, updated in November 2024, describes how quality control reviewers use interviews, collateral contacts, and documentary evidence to verify household circumstances. Together, these documents explain why 3 tasks, reporting changes, completing forms, and submitting verification, always appear together in state communications. Taken together, the sources point to 5 concrete actions SNAP recipients need to take right now in November if they want to avoid a missed payment. The first is to report any changes in the household as soon as they happen. Both the October 27th suspension letter and the November 13th full issuance letter from Montana DPHHS told households to keep reporting any changes in household circumstances. MDHS in Mississippi, Arkansas DHS, and the Office of Governor Bill Lee in Tennessee all repeated essentially the same language, urging SNAP customers to continue reporting household changes. With SNAP rules defining the household as everyone who lives together and buys and prepares food together, events such as someone moving in or out, a change of address, a split household, or a change in who cares for children can all affect benefit levels. If those changes are not reported, the case may be considered inaccurate, which can lead to benefits being halted or adjusted suddenly at a time when families can least afford it. The second action is to respond to every piece of paperwork the agency sends. In October, Arkansas DHS warned that SNAP recipients should complete any paperwork they receive related to their case. Louisiana's Department of Health sent a state-funded emergency SNAP announcement on October 31st and a federally funded SNAP update on November 5th, both stressing that recipients must complete simplified reporting or recertification forms when they come due, even while the state was either using its own funds or only able to issue a partial federal benefit. Georgia's SNAP policy manual explains why this matters. If verification documents requested with those forms are not returned by the deadline, the case can be closed and staff must document the closure. In practical terms, each recertification packet, mid-cert form, or notice requesting additional information carries a clock. If the household misses that clock, it can end up in the category of approved on paper but not actually paid once federal funding resumes.
The third action is to gather and submit all verification documents the state asks for. Letters and statements from Montana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Louisiana all explicitly mention the duty to submit verification. These documents can include pay stubs, bank statements, leases, utility bills, identification documents, and other proofs depending on the case. Georgia's policy manual requires staff to verify information as outlined in policy, using third-party sources or the Assistance Unit statement, while FNS Handbook 310 shows how reviewers can follow up with collateral contacts if necessary. Providing complete documentation allows both the agency and the household to avoid having the case stuck in a pending status because of missing information. When Louisiana's Department of Health published the specific mailing address and fax number for SNAP documents, it was not just sharing contact information. It was pointing households toward the fastest channels for getting their paperwork into the system and protecting their benefits. The fourth action is to attend and complete every scheduled interview. Information from MDHS, carried by local outlets such as the Columbian Progress and WAPT, makes it clear that applications and recertifications will continue to be accepted and processed, but approved November benefits will not be issued unless and until FNS authorizes states to do so. To be ready the moment that authorization comes through, households are being urged to complete all scheduled interviews. The interview is when the agency and the household go through income, housing, household composition, and expenses one last time and clear up any discrepancies. If the interview is missed, the case may be flagged as incomplete. That means even when funding resumes, that case will still be waiting behind others that are fully ready for issuance, effectively delaying benefits further for a household that is already on the edge. The fifth and final action is to use official channels proactively to monitor your case and benefit flow. In its October 27th suspension letter, Montana DPHHS encouraged recipients to regularly check the state's SNAP website to stay informed. Arkansas DHS urged SNAP households to watch for updates by mail, online, and via the hotline. At the systems level, Texas's Your Texas Benefits portal shows how one platform can let people view benefits, report case changes, renew assistance, upload documents, and track case status in one place. FNS's February 20, 2024 online application policy clarification requires states to let applicants submit applications before identity verification is completed and to offer multiple options for identity verification while also setting standards for e-signatures and electronic record keeping. For households, logging in, reading notices, checking case status and EBT balances can make the difference between catching a problem early and discovering it only when the benefit fails to arrive on issuance day. From a broader budget and economic standpoint, these 5 actions protect both households and the integrity of the SNAP program at a time of fiscal uncertainty. When the Louisiana Department of Health chose to use state funds to provide emergency SNAP assistance from November 1 through November 4, then switched to issuing federally funded benefits starting November 7 at 50 to 65% of normal levels, its press releases consistently tied those payments to the expectation that households keep their cases updated. Montana moved from suspending November issuance to paying 100% of November benefits in less than 3 weeks. But throughout both letters, the obligations to report changes, complete paperwork, and submit verification did not change. That pattern underscores a simple reality. Federal budget decisions determine whether funding is available, but whether that money reaches an individual household on time still depends heavily on whether the case is current and complete. For low-income workers, seniors, people with disabilities, families with children, and part-time workers, requirements around paperwork, documentation, interviews, and portals can feel like an added burden in a month when the benefit itself is delayed. Yet the communications from Montana, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Tennessee, alongside federal guidance from FNS, SSA, Georgia, and Texas, all point to the same conclusion. These are pressure points that households can control. When those points are tightened on time, cases are ready to be paid as soon as federal funding is released. When they are not, families can find themselves waiting weeks longer for help simply because of a missing form or a missed phone call. In the weeks ahead, SNAP recipients will still be watching budget negotiations in Washington and waiting for new announcements from their own states. But the question of how not to miss a benefit in November or in any future month shaped by a shutdown already has a clear answer. The timing of federal money may be outside a household's control. The condition of its case is not. Reporting every household change, completing all paperwork, submitting verification on time, showing up for every interview, and monitoring the case through official channels are the 5 steps households can take right now to turn Benefit Day from a guessing game into an appointment they can count on.